everyone, and welcome to another Fave 5 video. My name is Ria, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about my favorite 5 eyeshadow palettes. So if you'd like to hear what they are, then please continue to watch. So this video is actually pretty easy for me because I don't actually have a ton of eyeshadow palettes in my collection. I do have a lot of single eyeshadows, but aside from these 5, I think I only have like 2 other eyeshadow palettes, so it was pretty easy to make my decision as to which 5 eyeshadow palettes should be in my top 5. I absolutely love these palettes. One of them I haven't been using that long, but the other ones I've had in my collection for quite some time and I use regularly, so if you'd like to hear what they are, I'm gonna begin right now. And yes, I am wearing the same shirt and the same makeup. I just was on a filming roll, and so I wanted to do as many videos as I could, and I am just too lazy to change out of this shirt. I'm gonna start with my most used eyeshadow palette, which is this one here. It is the Tarte In Bloom palette. This is what the inside of the palette looks like. And as you can see, it is well loved. It's very neutral, very neutral. And it has a good mix of mattes and shimmers. Mainly, it has a lot of matte shades. It just has 3 shimmer shades, so 1, 2, and this one down here. And the palette isn't particularly warm or cool. It has some warm shades and some cool tone shades. So what I'm gonna do now is just swatch a couple of my favorite eyeshadows from this palette. Firecracker is definitely one of my faves, and it's this like bronzy color. It looks like this. Another one of my favorite shadows is the color Rebel, which is like this brown with a little bit of red in it. So that's the shade right there. And another one of my favorites in this palette is the color Leader, which is like a darkened, warm brown. And that's what it looks like there. Sweetheart is also one of my favorites. It's like such a beautiful like light pink transition shade, and it is absolutely stunning. It doesn't show up that great on camera, but I assure you in the crease it is beautiful. So this is again the Tarte In Bloom palette, definitely one of my faves. The second palette that I'm going to talk about today is the Modern Renaissance palette. I couldn't do a Fave 5 video talking about eyeshadows and not include this palette. It is absolutely stunning. This is what the outer packaging looks like. I'm actually pretty shocked that mine's as clean as it is because I use this palette quite often. The palette does come with a little brush, and this is what the eyeshadows look like. I'm sure you guys have seen this palette before. It also has a nice mix of warm tones and a few cool tones thrown in, like Warm Taupe and Cypress Umber, for example, and Warm Fest Girl. But I have used this palette in a few tutorials already, and I really love it. The shadows blend really well. They're highly pigmented, but it does have quite a bit of fallout. So I'm going to go ahead and swatch some of my favorite shades from this palette. I absolutely love Raw Sienna, which is just this nice transition shade. It's a warmer brown. It looks like that. It's like the perfect transition for me. Another one of my favorites is the color Primavera, which is this really vibrant gold color. And it makes a really beautiful inner corner highlight, but also it's perfect on the lid. Another one of my faves is the color Red Ochre. It looks like this. So it's kind of like a maroon shade, and it is so beautiful. It's perfect to deepen up the crease. And I also really like Antique Bronze and Warm Taupe. Warm Taupe is kind of like exactly that, a warm taupe. And Antique Bronze is this like dark bronzy brown shade. So that over there is Antique Bronze. It has a little bit of shimmer through it, but I would say it's more of a satin shade. And Warm Taupe is at the top. It's a really nice cool tone transition shade. So that is the Modern Renaissance palette. Again, looks like this. I absolutely love this palette, and it made it onto my Fave 5. Next eyeshadow palette I'm going to talk about is one that has got a lot of attention on my channel, and I absolutely adore this palette. For one, it smells like peaches. it is the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette. I have a number of tutorials on this palette. I absolutely love it, and for a good reason. It has a ton of eyeshadows for one. These shadows aren't super pigmented, so if you're looking for something that's very highly pigmented and very highly blendable, I wouldn't say this is the palette for you. It is definitely very, very blendable, but the colors in here are not as pigmented as, say, the Modern Renaissance palette, for example. The colors in here are nice and warm, and it has a nice range of colors, including some pops of shimmer. It has some mattes, and I think the colors in here are kind of unique compared to a lot of palettes that I own. And yeah, I really like this palette. I haven't played too much with these darker colors down here. I just haven't really found a use for them quite yet, but I do plan on playing with them in the future. So I'm going to swatch some of my favorites again. Candied Peach, definitely one of my favorites. I absolutely love this color, and I think it is so stunning, especially if you put it like in the crease. It looks so nice. It looks really nice in the lid too, but as a crease color, just to warm up an eye look, it is so beautiful. Another color that I really like is the color Luscious, which is a beautiful lid color. I've also used this in my inner corner, and I really, really like it. It's very vibrant, and it has a nice little peachy undertone to it, which is so beautiful. Another color that I really like in here is the color Bellini. And this one's more peach than Luscious and not as vibrant. So it's the one right there at the top. It's really stunning all over the lid and in the inner corner as well. Another color that I really like in here is the color Caramelized, and it's kind of like a bronzy color. These are kind of like the colors that I'm drawn to, like bronzy, peachy shades. And I can't forget Summer Yum, which is such a beautiful warm red color with a little bit of orange in there. So it's got some brown, some orange, and some red. It's so beautiful, and I really, really, really love this palette. Up next is a palette that I don't think I've ever talked about on my channel before. I don't think I've even used it in a tutorial, but I actually do use this palette quite a lot. It's definitely not my top favorite palette, but I really do like it. It is the Tardis Pro palette from Tarte, and this is what the eyeshadow palette looks like. It has a ton of shimmer shades, or sorry, it has a ton of matte eyeshadows, and then the circles on this side of the palette are shimmer shades. The reason I don't reach for this palette too much is because the shimmer shades are quite a disappointment. To be honest, they were marketed to be these like duochrome shades, but I don't really love them, and I pretty much only get use out of these two right here. One is like a golden color, and the other one's like just a light shimmery color. The mattes, however, are really, really nice. They have a beautiful range of colors, and they definitely have some like unique colors in there, especially like this red one over here. So they definitely have like a good range and a good mix of colors. And the thing about this palette is that the shadows are very pigmented, but they're very stiff and dry. So when you go to put these shadows on the eyes, they take a little bit of work to build up, and they take a little bit of work to blend out. Unlike the Modern Renaissance palette or the Sweet Peach or the Tartelette In Bloom. Those ones blend out really easy. These ones don't. The upside to that though is that these shadows last forever on the eyes. Like these shadows last like the entire day, like a good 12 hours without any fading or smudging or anything like that. I do find that the shimmer shades crease a tiny bit, but the matte shades just last forever. So just something to keep in mind, a palette that I really do enjoy, and it does smell like vanilla, which I really like. Whimsy is one of my favorites in this palette. It's like an orangey brown. Looks like that. Another one of my favorites is the red shade that I was talking about earlier, which is the color Maud. And that's what it looks like right there. This is one of the shades that's a little bit difficult to work with. So just take your time, and I guarantee you it will look really beautiful, and it'll literally last all day. Edgy's another nice one. It's like a dark brown, but it's on the warmer side. So it's that top shade there. And for a crease shade or transition shade, the color Innocent is one of my favorites. So it's up here. It's kind of hard to see, but essentially it's like a pinkish color. So I really do like this palette as well, and like I said, it is a little bit difficult to blend out, but I do really like it and I would recommend it. The very last palette is a newer one to my collection. It's one that I recently did a review on, and it has quickly become one of my favorite eyeshadow palettes, and I'm talking about the Urban Decay Naked Heat palette. This is what it looks like. I have a full review on it on my channel already. It comes with a little brush, which I'm gonna pop out. And this is what the eyeshadows look like. It's so warm, it's so orangey, it's so red. I really, really love this palette, and I have like nothing bad to say about it. It's very, very pigmented. It blends out beautifully, and the shadows they just speak to me. So some of my favorite shadows in here, the first one is the color Scorch, which is very different. I've never seen a shadow like this before. It's kind of like a coppery pink. You can see it right there. It's very pigmented. However, I feel like it's not as vibrant as I thought it was going to be when I initially got the palette, but I do like that about it because it makes it a lot more wearable for day to day. Another color that I really like in here is the color En Fuego, and it's this one here. And in the palette, it's this shade right here. It's a very beautiful wine shade. Reminds me a lot of the Kat Von D single eyeshadow in the shade Lolita. Another color that I really like in here is the color Ember. I haven't played with it yet, but I have swatched it, and I'm kind of intimidated by it, to be honest. But it just looks so beautiful, and I really, really, really like that one. And last but not least, I really like the shade Lumbre. I think I called it Lumber in my video, but whatever. That's what it looks like. It reminds me a lot actually of Expensive Pink from MAC. So if you have that shade, that's what it reminds me of. It's like a peachy golden pink. It's so beautiful, and again, these shadows blend out really, really well. They last a really long time in the eyes, and the shadows are definitely highly pigmented. And that is it for my favorite 5 eyeshadow palettes. I hope that this video was informative, and I hope that you enjoyed it. Please let me know your favorite eyeshadow palettes in the comment section down below, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!